Today I'm going to be talking about the importance of consistency and getting feedback. We're going to talk about two different things today that I think are really important in getting your science communication journey on the go and making sure that it lasts. Because a lot of us like to start things, but we don't like to finish it or maintain them all the way through. And I'm going to talk about an example for me in terms of consistency is this vlog. I posted my first vlog a couple weeks ago with the intention of posting it once a week for indefinite, really, for the next number of months. And I missed out on my second week. Not a good start, Andrew. Not a good start. It's difficult. I don't think people realize or even understand how much work goes into not only just recording a video, but also all the stuff that goes in after a video to make sure you edit it properly, to make sure that you are posting it to a point where people will watch it, and then you have to market it. You gotta promote it everywhere you go. And it's not an easy process to do. I've gone through iterations of this over the last 14 years in terms of, blogging, in terms of starting videos, and I didn't really reach success in consistency until I got to podcasting. It was mostly just audio podcasting. And since 2015, when I first launched my podcast, I've been consistent in a number of different frequencies, a number of different times I post a week, but I've been consistent in posting at least 3 times a week, maybe even just once a week at the beginning, but since then 3 times a week for the last 10 years, pretty much. I'm on my 10th year of podcasting. So almost a decade of consistently posting a video, or not a video, but an audio podcast where people are actually listening. When you talk about science communication to people, or you talk about posting as a creator in any niche, it doesn't matter. Consistency is the biggest thing. It's probably the most underrated thing that's talked about. A lot of people talk about the gear that you need. A lot of people talk about the workflow that you need, the editing, all the different software you need, how much money you have to invest in it, being afraid of being in front of a camera, in front of a microphone. And all those are, legitimate things that you have to encounter. But what a lot of people don't talk about is how consistency actually helps you build an audience and build that community online. It just never gets talked about. And unfortunately, with podcasting, a lot of people will stop posting after 6 or 7 episodes. There are many podcasts out there have existed, that are still existing, but aren't being posted or published or updated on a regular basis. Because people will realize, one, it's hard. After 6 or 7 episodes, they realize how much time it takes to put a podcast together. The second thing is they're not getting the amount of views or the amount of downloads that they expected to get. With it being hard and time consuming and they're not getting the amount of views, they're like, after 6 or 7 episodes, I don't think it's worth it. It's not worth it. And so they'll quit and they'll stop their show, and it'll still remain up for the first 6 or 7 episodes for evergreen for a long time until they decide not to continue paying for their show, or if it's a free host or whatever. But then they just stop. And consistency is what you need to put together. And really what it comes down to is planning. It's your workflow. How are you going to work it so that you are not only going to plan, record, edit, and publish on a regular basis? How are you going to make sure that you find the time, that you find the creativity, that you find the information to do that? With a science communication background, your time is in the research part, making sure that what you're saying is true, what you're saying is valid. There's evidence to back it up because you're a science communicator. But then once that goes through, you got to record the episode. You got to make sure that it's entertaining enough. You got to make sure that people are engaged throughout the entire time. And so that will come to not only in the way you speak, but also the way that you edit afterwards to keep people's attention. We have a very quick attention span these days. You have to make sure that you plan your workflow properly. Once I got into a good workflow, that's when I became consistent. That's when I knew that I was going to be able to be consistent for a decade or for however long I had. Now, I recently started video podcasting. back in July, I started posting videos of my podcast. I didn't change anything else. All I did was I decided to record. And I thought it was going to be simple. I'll just record and I'll do my other audio editing separately and do my video separately, and then that will be it. The problem is that's double the work. And I didn't have the time to double the work. I have a full-time job. I am a parent of 2 teenage girls, wonderful girls. I am a husband. I have a lot of things that not only from a personal standpoint, but from a work standpoint that take up my time. And so I don't have time to add on another workflow. I had to make sure that I could do this workflow consistently. So what I decided to do was edit the video and the audio at the same time. I had some help, because if I wanted to post the video on Spotify, which now allows video, I had to post the exact same video that matched the audio. So my audio podcast had to be the same as my video podcast. I am going to create a channel separately from this, I believe, that will talk a lot about the mechanics and the tech part and the editing part of doing podcasting and creating in general from my point of view. Stay tuned for that. That'll probably come in the new year as I build more of a library of videos and more how-tos on creating for podcast and video podcasts and my journey and discussing that. But this vlog, we're just going to be talking about sort of the overview and a lot of the mindset stuff that I go through, and just sort of the overall plan. But more technical will be linked later on in this video, as well as other videos for this vlog on science communication. What you really have to do is you have to sit down and create a workflow that works for you. You have to make sure that you are able to do this in a certain amount of time every night or every week, or depending on what you do in terms of consistency, and you have to go through that. But the first thing you really need to do is you need to know how many times you are going to post a week. That's generally, or even a month. That's generally what we look at when we talk about consistency. Can you consistently post episodes when people think you're going to do it? So are you going to do it every Monday? Are you going to do it every Tuesday, or any day of the week, like once a week? Are you going to do it once a month at the beginning of the month? It doesn't matter how many times you do it. It matters, are you going to do it on the same day, or the same month, or the same week, each and every time? So the frequency is the big thing, and making sure you're consistent in that frequency. So don't start off 7 days a week, because you probably won't be able to do that if you've never created any kind of content before. It's going to take some time to adjust to editing, to even recording, either in front of a camera or behind a mic or both, and then figure out the editing and then figure out the publishing. It takes a long time to figure that out. Once you get that down pat and you can create templates and you can create something that you can do over and over and over again, then maybe you can increase the frequency as long as the consistency stays the same. So the frequency is all about posting on a specific day at a specific time so that people know when it goes live. And the other part is the consistency is each and every time you're going to post, it's going to be at the same time so people can rely on that. One good show that really talks about that is called BFFs. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine that I watch. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m., they have a podcast that they release, and they have like a premiere that they do. And although I don't really love the premiere feature in YouTube, the podcast is wonderful. It's all about gossip online and all this stuff, and it's kind of fun. And it's a little bit of a comedy kind of thing. A very popular show, but people wait till 8 o'clock, and then they all join in and they all comment together. And it's like they're watching it live, but it's pre-recorded. But they have this premiere that they wait. But I know Wednesday night at 8 p.m., every Wednesday, unless announced otherwise, they are going to post a show. So having that frequency of once a week and having the consistency of every single time at 8 p.m., I know that's going to be there. And as an audience member, I enjoy that aspect. That's what we talk about when we talk about frequency and consistency. Going back to the workflow, you need to make sure that you are able to create something in the amount of time where you can do the frequency and consistency that you desire. Right? So making sure that the research is done on a specific day, the recording is done on a specific day, and it takes a specific amount of time. The editing is done on a specific day and takes a specific amount of time. And then the publishing is done on the time that you want your frequency and consistency to be the same. That may all be on the same day, or it may be over a number of days. It really depends on the amount of time that you have and how much work you're willing to put in at the same time. For me, I batch record. I publish 3 times a week, right? I publish my podcast 3 times a week and now video podcast 3 times a week. So I make sure that I batch record. I'll actually change shirts. Each video I'll have like a wardrobe right beside me. And usually it's just a shirt because I'm sitting down when I'm doing my podcast. But I'll change shirts and I will do it for every episode, right? And I'll do 3 in a row for that week. And then I usually wait a day and I'll edit it. Usually I try doing it 3 times a week, but it depends on how long it takes me. I'll probably do 1 a day and then for the next 3 days, just to give me that. I don't want to run out of creativity. I don't want to get tired of doing one thing. Editing it's getting to be more of my favorite, but it's not necessarily my favorite, especially when I first started out editing, especially when it comes to video. I edit my video and my audio using DaVinci Resolve, and that allows me to export. That allows me to export at the same time. I just batch export the 2 audio and the video, and then I get to do the next edit and I do the same thing. I batch export the audio and the video, and so it does it at the same time, which is really handy. It saves me some time. Then I go and I put it through an AI generator to make sure it listens to the episode, creates the show notes, creates any kind of caption that I need to do for social media or anything like that, newsletters and so forth, saves me some time. And then I post them. I get on to the podcast, my podcast host, I post it there. YouTube, I post it there. The next day I put the video on for Spotify because I'm not a Spotify for creators kind of user, so it doesn't upload automatically. So I have to wait till the audio publishes through my RSS feed, and then I go through that. I'm hoping that'll change later on. It's a bit of a pain in the butt. I'll put that on my other channel to talk more about that. But that's my experience with Spotify, and that's how I put together my show. For me, I will do the research and the recording in one day for the 3 episodes. Then I'll do the editing, usually on separate days. So that takes another 3 days, probably about an hour and a half for each one. And then I publish it. I usually do that after editing and going through the show notes and everything. All in all, it probably takes me 3 to 4 hours to do one episode. It's quite some time, but I enjoy it. It's what my passion is, and I've been able to come up with a workflow where it doesn't seem long, it doesn't seem tiring, and I enjoy doing it. And so that really is what it comes down to. Making sure that my consistency is set, making sure that my frequency is set. And I've changed frequencies over time. I've changed it. I started off once a week, then I went to 5 days a week, then I went back down to 3 days a week, then I went to 7 days a week, and now I've been at 3 days a week for a number of years. It seems to work. It seems to people that they really enjoy it and that it really matters. So when it comes to consistency, make sure that if you're going to start your science communication effort, consistency matters. It really, really matters. So this vlog is going to be a little different. I just came from work. I just found out that my work is requiring us to go back to work for 3 days a week. So it's still a hybrid model. Used to be once a week. Now it's 3 days a week, starting in March 2025. So I have to go to, I just coming back from work doing this. So you'll see a lot more vlogs probably in the car. But now I'm going to head home. I stopped off just before I got home to do this video. I'm going to head home, and then we are going to talk about the feedback and why feedback is so important to help you create videos and help you plan for videos a little bit more with specifics. We're going to talk about that with how I first started when I didn't really know anybody's feedback and I didn't really have an audience, to now engaging with my audience and being able to get feedback every once in a while. Always have an opportunity to get feedback. It's so, so important. And also talking about the fear of feedback that I had. So we're going to talk about that once I get home. Probably not as much of a vlog, but just more conversations, just because it's kind of crappy outside, so there's not really much to look at. And I'm trying to get through this as quickly just to get it up and remain with my consistency. So yeah, enjoy, and we'll talk to you in just a bit.
Okay, so I'm in my office. This is where all the magic happens. This is where I do my podcasts, How to Protect the Ocean. It's a great place. I've invested a lot of money into this microphone, into the Rodecaster Pro, the first version, into a double monitor system, a wonderful laptop, a MacBook Pro, and then of course I've got my lights, which makes all the magic happen. I even painted this office to make sure it looks good. I'll do a tour in another episode, probably on my other channel that'll start eventually. Before we get into talking about feedback, I want to talk to you a little bit about how I get through the day with everything that I do. I've explained to it before when I talked about consistency in the car. I started to talk about how I have a busy life. I have a full-time job. I'm a parent. I'm a husband. I'm a coach of football and hockey. There's a lot going on in my life. And to be able to be a content creator on top of that, to do science communication, it's definitely a passion, but it also takes a lot of time and it becomes very tiring. So what I've been doing to get through the day and to make sure that I'm staying focused and that I'm all attentive, whatever I'm doing, and I'm in the moment, I will use Magic Mind. It's an elixir drink that I use. It's like a shot that I have every morning. It has a lot of healthy things on it. It has some ginger. It has this caffeine. I call it like a caffeine system. It kind of, when you have coffee, when you have espresso, when you have a Coca-Cola, or you have, some people have energy drinks like Monster drinks or Red Bulls and things like that, they spike your caffeine. And so you are, all of a sudden you're jolted with energy and you're ready to go. And then like an hour later or even less than that, you just crash like crazy. What I love about Magic Mind is it kind of it gives you a little bit of caffeine throughout the day. And for like 3 to 4 hours after that, you still get a little shot of caffeine, a little shot of caffeine. So it's not as if you're spiking right away and then spiking right down, or crashing right down. You're actually kind of getting a steady dose throughout the day. And it may not be a lot, but it's enough to get me through. And I'll tell you, I love it. It's something that I've been doing for a long time. And I've actually talked to the company and they said, hey, it's Black Friday. It's time for the holidays. It's time for people to get deals. And so I want to share the deals with you. If you go to magicmind.com/Luen BF. That's LEWIN BF, all one word. So Luen, Black Friday, so Luen BF. So magicmind.com/Luen BF. They got a Black Friday offer. It's currently 50% off until December 6th, only with my link. So that's magicmind.com/Luen BF, and you get that deal. I highly recommend it, especially if you want to get into content creating. You can have some long nights, you can have some long mornings or long afternoons, depending on when you're doing your content creation and editing and all that publishing stuff and marketing. I highly recommend it. But what I wanted to talk to you about right now, I talked to you about the consistency and frequency. Now I want to talk about feedback. When you first start your science communication journey and you start putting out material, you start putting out content, you don't know what people want. You have an idea, you have a slight idea of what people want in terms of, the type of content that you want to build, because people have asked you questions before and you're answering them. You see things online or you see things in other content that you want to answer or you want to build upon. But you really don't know what your audience wants because you don't have an audience at this point, unless you already have an audience from your previous science communication efforts and you're probably trying to do something new. But if you're new to podcasting or you're new to video podcasting or YouTube or Spotify, you don't have that audience, so you don't know what that particular audience wants. And everybody wants something a little different depending on the platform. I had that when I first started. When I first started podcasting, I didn't really have an audience. And so I wanted to build that audience. So I thought of stuff that I think people would want based on questions that my friends had, my family had, other colleagues had. And I was like, okay, I'm going to build on that. And then I thought, okay, here's the information that I would like people to know that they've never had a chance to know based on, who I knew and what projects they were doing. Recently, I had a situation where, as I mentioned before, I started doing video podcasting. Well, video podcasting comes with a different platform, a visual platform. And so for me, when I started video podcasting, I was like, okay, I'm just going to turn the camera on and then I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm going to talk about podcasting. I'm going to do my old podcast, like the audio podcast, just like I would do a regular podcast, except I'd look in the camera a little bit more. And so that's what I did. I started to put that together and I said, okay, this is going to be a video podcast. Yeah, I'm going to put it up on YouTube just as I would film or record for an audio podcast, except I would look a little better and I would just look into the camera. So I did that and I put it together. And recently I asked somebody, I said, hey, this person responded to one of my recent episodes and said, hey, I'm glad you covered this. Here's something about it. And I said, oh, okay, cool. And I said, hey, by the way, since you listen to the podcast, have you had a chance to go over to YouTube and look at video podcasts? Like, do you like video podcasting? And the person responded, she's like, I did go look there to see if there was something extra that I could find that I would maybe miss in an audio version that I can get in the video version. Unfortunately, the stuff that she was looking for wasn't there. That's okay. I didn't realize it. The feedback that person gave me allowed me to be like, oh, okay, so now I know that I need to put something a little extra into the video, not just for people who might be coming over looking for something different, but from a visual perspective, people want to see a little bit more. My podcast is usually me covering an episode or an article to do one episode. So I'll cover an article, I'll read bits of the article, I'll take excerpts from it, add my own little piece to it. But maybe from the YouTube perspective, I should add a little bit more evidence, do a little bit more in the research department, and put a little bit more effort into that video podcast, which would translate into the audio podcast because it's the same audio stream. So having that feedback of the person coming in to saying, hey, yeah, I went over to the YouTube channel, but I didn't really get what I want, gives me an idea. Now, it's only one person, but gives me an idea of what people are looking for when they go to a YouTube video. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for that visual aspect. They're looking for something that will look good. Now, I've done my best and I've tried to add more visual things. What I started to do is in my intro to the video podcast is I start putting in a little bit of B-roll, whether it be some video, whether it be some pictures, whether it be just some words on the paper, just to switch it up to get people to watch it a little bit longer, to switch it up so it's not just a talking head. Then I just leave the rest of the podcast after the intro just the same as I would. Now I'm starting to build that out a little bit and starting to say, hey, if I start putting in B-roll and other things like maybe a little bit more evidence, maybe some maps or something like that, will that get people to listen to it or watch it a little bit longer? Now, obviously, the audio side will be the same, but the video side might change a little bit because now we're starting to add some more depth to it by adding some visuals, by adding some explanations and things like that, that will hold the viewer a little bit longer during the video. So that feedback allows me to start thinking about it and allows me to start expanding. Now, I don't have to listen to just the one person. I could just say, no, I'm just going to continue the way I want. But it sounds like kind of gives me a little common sense. It sounds like the person's making sense. And so then I can go in, I can say, okay, maybe I should start putting a little bit more effort into the visuals, a little bit more evidence if I find something that'll allow me to say, hey, this is where we're going to go from there, and we're going to be able to build this out a little bit better. So feedback allows you to make your content better for your audience, right? It allows you to provide more value for your audience because that's why you're doing this. The science communication is bringing more value to the audience. And so that's with the consistency and with getting feedback and taking it into account and putting it back into your content, that will help you build out your platform a little bit more, whether it's YouTube, whether it's straight up audio RSS feed type podcasting, whether it's blogging or writing. Being consistent and taking in feedback for yourself allows for that to be better. It just allows for your content to be better and serve more value to your audience. That's pretty much it. It's a rainy night here today. I decided to do it indoors. Obviously, it's at night. I wasn't going to do it out at night, but it's rainy. I don't know if you can hear the rain on the skylight above, but that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching this vlog. I really appreciate it on science communication. I love talking about science communication. Keep an eye out. Maybe in the new year, I'm going to start to build out more of a channel, a separate channel for the actual technical part and logistical part and more of the mindset part of looking at doing podcasting, doing video podcasting or video shows or going live, all that different stuff on another channel. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell to know when we put up new content, whether it's news, whether it's discussing science communication, whether it's a vlog like this one. You never know what we're going to be putting up. So stay tuned. Thank you so much. I'm your host, Andrew Luen. Have a great day and happy conservation.